The story of Britain's 2 pence coin is more remarkable than many people realize. What looks like an ordinary copper coin has, over time, become a marker of change, tradition, and even artistry. The years 1980, 1981, and 1988 in particular stand out, not because they introduce radical new designs, but because they capture important transitions in Britain's currency. The 2 pence coin was introduced in 1971, when the United Kingdom abandoned the centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence in favor of decimalization. To make the public aware of this new system, the coins bore the inscription New Pence. The reverse showed the badge of the Prince of Wales, 3 ostrich feathers within a coronet, with the motto Ich Dien, meaning I serve. The obverse carried Arnold Mackin's youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. By the time we reached 1980, this design was familiar across the country, yet each year's mintage still reflected subtle changes in history and in public life. The 1980 issue of the 2 pence coin continued with a New Pence inscription. At first glance, it might appear ordinary, as over 300 million were struck, but today collectors see it as significant. It represents the final stretch of the original design before changes began in the early 1980s. While most 1980 coins are common, brilliant uncirculated examples or proofs from mint sets hold far greater interest. For collectors, the challenge lies in finding coins untouched by circulation, glowing with their original mint luster. In 1981, the story became even more engaging. The nation was facing economic challenges, but the coinage remained steady, a symbol of continuity. Once again, the 2 pence was issued with a New Pence inscription, though proof sets were also produced for collectors. While regular circulation coins from 1981 are not rare, pristine examples from proof sets or those found in high-grade condition are considered desirable. A few mint errors, misstrikes or double strikes, have also been reported, and such unusual pieces can be worth many times more than their face value. This makes the 1981 issue particularly fascinating to coin hunters and numismatists. By 1988, the coin had changed. The word new was dropped in 1982, so the inscription now read simply 2 pence. Even more importantly, the portrait of the Queen was updated by Raphael Maklauf. His design showed Elizabeth II in a more formal, mature light, wearing the royal diadem. This was not just an artistic update, but a reflection of the passage of time and the monarch's enduring reign. Millions of 1988 coins were minted for circulation, but, as with earlier years, the finest examples, proofs or brilliant uncirculated coins, are the ones collectors seek most. When we consider 1980, 1981, and 1988 together, a pattern emerges. The first 2 years represent continuity, the end of the New Pence era, while 1988 reflects a new inscription and a new royal portrait. These coins act like small time capsules, capturing Britain's transition from the early days of decimalization to a period of maturity and stability. Their market value today depends heavily on condition. A worn 1980 or 1981 coin is usually worth no more than 2 pence, and the same applies to a circulated 1988 coin. But coins preserved in brilliant condition, especially proofs, attract collector attention and can sell for significantly more. Beyond money, however, these coins hold cultural and sentimental value. They remind us of a time when Britain was adjusting to a new monetary system and when the image of the Queen herself evolved to reflect the decades. So while the 2 pence coin may seem humble, the 1980, 1981, and 1988 issues show us that even small pieces of change can carry big stories. They represent not just currency, but history in the palm of your hand. The world of numismatics often teaches us that rarity is not just about how many coins were struck, but about how many survive in pristine condition. This truth is especially clear when we study the British 2 pence coins of 1980, 1981, and 1988. Each of these years tells us something different about production, about collecting, and about how ordinary objects become extraordinary with time. In 1980, the Royal Mint produced well over 300 million 2 pence coins. At first glance, such a figure seems to guarantee that these coins are common forever. And indeed, Most circulated examples are worth little more than face value, but the story does not end there. A fraction of these coins were issued in uncirculated sets and proof sets. Those coins, struck with polished dies and handled with care, possess a quality that stands out even today. For collectors, the hunt is not for any 1980 coin, but for one that shines with untouched brilliance, showing the full artistry of the design. The 1981 issue followed a similar path, with millions entering circulation. Yet this year offers an additional layer of fascination: minting errors. Occasionally, coins were struck off-center, double-struck, or produced with planchet flaws. Such mistakes, though rare, are now treasured by numismatists. They remind us that even with advanced machinery, human oversight and chance can produce unique pieces of history. Proof sets from 1981 further highlight the contrast between ordinary pocket change and perfection struck for collectors. These proof coins, carefully preserved, hold far greater value today than their circulated counterparts. By 1988, the coin had evolved. The inscription no longer read New Pence, but simply 2 pence, marking the nation's shift from the novelty of decimalization to a settled currency system. Even more striking was the new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael Maklauf. This design presented the monarch in a mature, regal manner, wearing the royal diadem. It symbolized continuity. It also acknowledged the passing of time. Millions of 1988 coins entered circulation, but as with earlier years, it is the carefully preserved or proof examples that collectors seek most eagerly. Understanding how these coins were made gives depth to their story. The Royal Mint relied on high-speed presses, striking blanks at astonishing rates. Under such conditions, most coins were ordinary and functional, but this same process occasionally created minor anomalies, weak strikes, die cracks, or misaligned images that today command special attention. For many collectors, searching for such anomalies is part of the thrill, turning a humble copper-plated coin into a numismatic prize. Condition is everything in the coin world. Grading systems rank coins from poor to mint state, and even small differences in wear or shine can mean large differences in value. A circulated 1980 or 1981 2 pence is rarely worth more than its face value, but a mint state or proof specimen can fetch far more. Collectors examine details such as the clarity of the Queen's portrait, the sharpness of the Prince of Wales' feathers, and the absence of blemishes. In this way, rarity is not about mintage, but about survival. Beyond their physical features, these coins also mirror their times. The early 1980s were years of challenge and change for Britain, yet its coinage remained steady, a quiet symbol of stability. By 1988, the nation was more settled, and the updated portrait reflected the enduring strength of the monarchy. Coins, though small, carry these broader stories, reminding us that history can be held in the palm of our hand. For today's collector, the adventure continues. Searching through old jars of change or examining inherited proof sets can still reveal a gem. The joy comes not only from financial value, but from connection with the past. A gleaming 1980 proof, a flawless 1981 specimen, or a perfectly struck 1988 coin. All are pieces of a larger narrative that links people, history, and art. Thus, the 2 pence coins of these 3 years are far more than common change. They embody the paradox of abundance and rarity, of mass production and individual uniqueness. They remind us that even the smallest coins carry weighty stories. When we study the British 2 pence coins of 1980, 1981, and 1988, it is not only about designs or mintages. These small copper coins also mirror the times in which they were made, carrying with them echoes of Britain's society, economy, and monarchy. Each year tells a cultural story that goes far beyond the coin itself. In 1980, Britain was undergoing great transition. The country was adjusting to economic pressures and political changes, with Margaret Thatcher in her first full year as Prime Minister. Strikes, inflation, and industrial decline shaped daily life. Yet amidst uncertainty, the coinage of the realm remained stable. The 2 pence still bore the New Pence inscription, a holdover from the decimal changeover of 1971. For many citizens, these coins represented familiarity, an everyday anchor of continuity while the wider nation was in flux. Carrying one in your pocket was a reminder that some traditions endured, even as industries closed and communities struggled. The 1981 coin carried this sense of resilience forward. Britain celebrated the royal wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer, a moment of national unity that contrasted with the economic difficulties of the time. In such a setting, the 2 pence coin symbolized everyday life, small change used in shops, buses, and cafes, yet still marked with the royal emblem of the Prince of Wales' feathers. It was as though the coin quietly echoed the royal heritage that was playing out in grand ceremonies. The obverse still showed Arnold Mackin's portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, youthful and serene, projecting continuity and reassurance to the people. By 1988, the cultural tone had shifted. The decade had brought new consumerism, modern technology, and more optimism in parts of British society. Reflecting this maturity, the coin too had changed. The new pence inscription was gone, replaced simply by 2 pence. This may seem like a small adjustment, but culturally it signaled that Britain had moved beyond the experimental stage of decimalization. Decimal coins were no longer new. They were simply money, fully absorbed into national identity. Even more important was the new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael Maklauf. This depiction showed her wearing the royal diadem, dignified and formal, projecting strength and continuity. By 1988, the Queen had already reigned for more than 35 years. This portrait symbolized not only her maturity as a monarch, but also Britain's stability under her leadership. Coins with her image circulated into every hand, from workers to school children, reinforcing a shared national identity. Taken together, the coins of these 3 years offer a cultural timeline. The 1980 and 1981 issues reflect a society facing difficulties, but holding on to symbols of tradition and monarchy. The 1988 coin represents confidence and maturity, showing that both the monarchy and the nation had settled into a new era. The shift from new pence to 2 pence, and from a youthful portrait of the Queen to a more regal one, parallels Britain's own journey from challenge to renewal. What makes these coins culturally powerful is their ubiquity. Unlike rare metals or commemorative issues, 2 pence coins circulated in the millions, passing through every hand regardless of wealth or status. They were small objects of unity, silently reinforcing the monarchy and national continuity in everyday transactions. Every cup of tea bought with a 2p coin, every child who saved one in a jar, unknowingly carried a fragment of Britain's evolving story. For historians and collectors today, this cultural resonance is as meaningful as monetary value. Holding a 1980 coin recalls a time of struggle. A 1981 coin echoes the optimism of a royal wedding. And a 1988 coin reflects a nation entering a more confident phase under a maturing monarch. They are not just coins. They are cultural artifacts, binding personal memory to national history. The collector's market often transforms everyday objects into treasures, and Britain's 2 pence coins from 1980, 1981, and 1988 are no exception. Although these coins were struck in the hundreds of millions, the world of numismatics values more than just mintage numbers. Condition, rarity of errors, and historical context all play roles in determining what makes one coin worth only 2 pence, and another worth many times more. Starting with the 1980 issue, the story is one of abundance and scarcity coexisting. Over 300 million pieces were minted, making circulated examples incredibly common. For most people, a worn 1982 pence still holds only face value. Yet for collectors, the real treasures lie in the brilliant uncirculated and proof sets. Coins preserved in mint packaging, untouched by circulation, can command prices far higher than their humble denomination. The sharpness of detail, rich copper glow, and lack of blemishes set these apart from the coins that jingled through pockets for decades. In auctions, high-grade proof examples often draw enthusiastic bidding, not because they are rare in absolute numbers, but because so few survive in perfect condition. The 1981 coin shares this pattern, but adds another dimension: mint errors. During the rapid production process of the Royal Mint, small mistakes occasionally slip through: off-center strikes, die cracks, or even double-struck images. For the ordinary public, such flaws may have gone unnoticed. But today, error coins from 1981 are considered fascinating rarities. Collectors pay premium for these anomalies, since each one is unique and tells its own story of the minting process. Beyond errors, proof coins from 1981 remain highly desirable, with pristine sets fetching strong prices at numismatic fairs and online auctions. By 1988, the landscape had shifted. The inscription now read 2 pence, and the obverse carried Raphael Maclau's elegant new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Circulation pieces from 1988 are still plentiful, often appearing in bulk lots and dealer bins. Yet, as with earlier years, the finest survivors stand apart. Proof versions struck for collector sets shine with mirror-like fields and crisp details, often achieving high grades when professionally certified. Such coins appeal not only to British collectors, but also to international numismatists who value them as part of the Queen's long numismatic legacy. Professional grading has further elevated the market for these coins. Services that certify coins as mint state, or Proof 69, or Proof 70 add assurance and increase value. A raw coin might sell for only a few pounds, but one slab and graded at the highest levels, the same coin could achieve significantly higher results. Collectors seek not only the coin itself, but also the validation of perfection. It is also important to understand how supply and demand shape values. While millions of these coins exist, the pool of flawless examples shrinks every year. Circulation wears down most coins, and proof sets are sometimes broken apart, reducing the number of untouched survivors. This natural attrition ensures that high-grade examples become more desirable as time passes. For investors and collectors alike, the appeal lies in owning a piece of history that is both beautiful and enduring. Auction records confirm this pattern. Though ordinary circulated coins sell for face value, proof issues in top condition often attract competitive bidding. Collectors are willing to pay not only for the coin, but for the story it tells: the end of the new pence era, the resilience of early 1980s Britain, or the mature image of the Queen in 1988. In this sense, value is as much emotional and cultural as it is financial. For casual hobbyists, the journey may begin with searching through old jars of change, hoping to find a sparkling example. For serious numismatists, it may involve bidding in specialized auctions or seeking professionally graded specimens. In both cases, the reward goes beyond money. Owning a perfect 1980, 1981, or 1988 2-pence coin means holding a miniature artifact that bridges the everyday and the extraordinary. Thus, the collector's market teaches us a final lesson. Value is never just about rarity. It is about condition, history, and the human stories attached to small copper coins. And in the case of these 3 years, even the humblest denomination has proven capable of inspiring passion and pride among those who treasure Britain's numismatic heritage. As we conclude our journey through the British 2-pence coins of 1980, 1981, and 1988, it becomes clear that their true significance lies far beyond their face value. At first glance, these are ordinary copper coins, struck in hundreds of millions and passed through countless hands in everyday life. Yet when we look closer, they emerge as markers of history, reflections of culture, and objects of fascination for collectors. The 1980 and 1981 coins represent the closing chapter of the new pence era. They capture a Britain still adjusting to economic difficulties, still feeling the aftershocks of industrial change, and yet clinging to continuity in the symbols of its coinage. The familiar prints of whale's feathers on the reverse, paired with Arnold Mackin's youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, offer stability in a time of transition. For those who lived through these years, the coins remain small but tangible reminders of resilience. The 1988 coin, by contrast, tells a story of maturity. The inscription 2 pence now stood alone without the word new. Britain no longer needed reminding of decimalization. The system had been fully embraced. On the obverse, Raphael Maclau's regal portrait of the Queen reflected not only her enduring reign, but also the nation's confidence in its institutions. In cultural terms, this coin embodied both tradition and progress, bridging the gap between past uncertainty and present stability. Together, the 3 coins form a timeline of national identity. They show how currency, though small in size, reflects the pulse of society. Each design choice, each portrait, and each inscription carries meaning. For the everyday person, these coins bought bus rides, cups of tea, and newspapers. But for historians and collectors, they tell the larger story of Britain in the late 20th century, its challenges, its celebrations, and its evolving monarchy. From a collective perspective, these coins also highlight the paradox of abundance and rarity. Tens or hundreds of millions may have been minted, but survival in pristine condition is what creates true value. Proof sets, brilliant uncirculated specimens, and rare mint errors transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Auctions and private collections preserve these pieces not only for their beauty, but for the narratives they embody. And perhaps most importantly, these coins remind us that value is not measured solely in money. A 1980 proof gleaming with untouched luster, a 1981 error coin struck imperfectly by chance, or a 1988 specimen with a queen's dignified profile. All are worth more than their monetary price. They are worth the stories they carry, the history they preserve, and the memories they awaken. For some, the discovery of an old 2 pence in a jar of change may spark curiosity. For others, holding a flawless proof coin may inspire pride in craftsmanship. And for many, these coins simply connect them with a moment in time, a reminder that even the smallest denominations are woven into the fabric of national heritage. In the end, the coins of 1980, 1981, and 1988 teach us that numismatics is not just about collecting objects. It is about collecting stories of people, of nations, of monarchs, and of eras long past. These copper pieces, humble in appearance, carry within them the weight of history. And so, when we look at them today, we see not just coins, but chapters of Britain's unfolding narrative. They are, in every sense, history in the palm of your hand.